In 1958 in Wichita, Kansas, two brothers borrowed $600 and opened a pizza place with just 8 letters on the sign. Pizza Hut. Inside, it was more than a meal. Red and white checkered tablecloths on every table, a glowing jukebox humming in the corner, red plastic cups packed with ice and soda sweating onto the tabletop. This was where Little League teams celebrated, where families filled booths on Friday night, and where first dates shared a pizza and stayed longer than planned. As the years rolled on, the world changed, but some things stayed the same. The oven stayed hot, the crust stayed familiar, and every box carried more than pizza. It carried memories. It's mostly delivery and takeout now, but Pizza Hut panned and hand-tossed pizzas are the same. And if you're in the mood for a pizza now, they're running their huge pepperoni New Yorker hand-tossed pizza for only $10.99. See your local store for details. Oh, and wherever you're watching or listening, comment with some of your best Pizza Hut memories you had growing up.
Views and opinions expressed are not necessarily those of the staff or management of the Flavors of Northwest Arkansas podcast.
Well, Happy New Year, and welcome to this edition of the Flavors of Northwest Arkansas podcast. I'm John Engelman. We appreciate you being here as always. Today's an interesting one. We talked to Natural State Rabbit President and CEO Brian Bonk. He runs what's basically two companies in one, selling rabbit meat for food and the biologics side where parts of the rabbit are used in medicine and other things. With us are rabbit evangelists Mike Robertshaw and Meredith Butler of Pizzeria Ruby. But first, food news. We kick it off with a few closures that started the new year. Black Apple Hard Cider is now closed. It came as a shock to so many, and now folks are making runs to buy their product in the marketplace. As for what's next for them, that's a great question. We'll let you know when we know. Another local favorite announced their closure on New Year's Day. Crabby's in Rogers has closed their doors. They announced it via Facebook. Crabby's had a holiday promotion on gift card purchases, leaving some folks upset, as you can imagine. Crabby's posted that they plan to reimburse any recent gift card purchases. On January 2nd, they posted an address in Little Rock that you can send your gift cards to for refunds. If you have a gift card, go to Crabby's Facebook page for the details. KDK's Chicken and Waffles had planned on opening on New Year's Day at the old Natural State Smoothies location at 1772 North College in Fayetteville. I talked to owner Keith Kidd, and he said they've had some construction delays, so they've had to push the grand opening date. He did say that they don't have far to go and should open soon. Speaking of construction delays, the Botanical in Fayetteville has had their fair share the past few months. The good news, it's pretty much done. And as for when they'll open, co-owner Alex Thaley has your answer.
Yeah, it's been a long time coming, but we are close. So we're going to start doing some friends and family soft opening training this week, and then this weekend opening the doors for everyone. We're going to iterate on the design. We put out an open call for people if they have any beer mirrors or tins or any kind of decor, and they want a home for it, to bring it in. We'll start putting that up, add more plants as we go, but we just want to get the doors open. Premier League's in full swing, and the sports playoffs are on, so it's time to get open and let the community have the space.
Oh, and just next door, they'll be opening a spot called Artemis. They won't be serving alcohol there, as it'll be a non-alcoholic drink setup, coffee, and the like. They'll have art exhibits and more. It'll be a gathering space, too. Artemis will open next week. You know how we are around here with food competitions. Whenever we see one, we like to give it some love. And this one looks like a good one. Rendezvous Junction Brewing Company in Rogers is having a chili cook-off. Thankfully, it's finally cold, and we can do one of those. It is happening January 17th, which is Saturday after next. And if you want to go to Rendezvous Junction's Facebook or Instagram pages, you can go there for details. The prize is still being formulated, but it might include things like gift cards and maybe a championship belt. Not confirmed, by the way, not confirmed at all. If you've been down Dixon Street in Fayetteville in the past week or so, you've seen a banner go up where the former Buster Bellies bar was located, as Kebab Bowl is coming to the spot. As first reported by the Fayetteville Flyer, their Facebook page describes the restaurant as a late-night spot for sizzling kebabs, wraps, and good vibes. After a brief look inside, it looks like they're still in the remodeling phase. In this week's Flavors Flashback, we go back to October the 9th of 2024, where we sat down with Bert Jones, Lisa Provencio Jones, and Chef Sam Walker of Gaskins on Emma. We tear into some scar tissue as they talk about the harrowing week they had leading up to their grand opening.
We didn't have a kitchen. We didn't have gas in a kitchen. We couldn't use our kitchen to train our staff.
Oh, no.
Until, 5 days before
It's
we opened?
5 days out, yeah. So we,
Oh, man.
I mean, the menu was written, everything, and we were testing recipes and making sure things tasted right. We had our neighbors down the street at Mothership. They were kind enough to let us use their space.
Awesome.
Thankfully, we made it happen, but it was, as far as wanting to pull the hair out, there were certainly some days.
Yeah. Ooh. And then, so that's leading up to this 24 hours before?
Yeah.
We didn't have air conditioning. Seriously, 24 hours. The building supplied air conditioning for the dining rooms and the lounge.
Yeah, we had that temporary unit out back, that was pumping air through the vents.
It was just where it was 90 degrees in here. And
That was the summer.
yeah.
Uh-huh.
Oh.
Yeah, it was 90 degrees here in the building.
Oh.
And
The first place they got air actually was the kitchen. So
Yeah.
you would go into the kitchen.
Would have to be.
We had all of our team meetings, like our, going over the menu descriptions and all of that with the front of house, and all of that was held in the kitchen. So we just had everyone huddled up, and
But
Make sure,
ironically, we couldn't cook in there. So it was
Right.
air
Right.
conditioned, but couldn't do anything.
Fair point.
so
Fair
the
point.
building, we did our friends and family on a Sunday, our invitees only. And on that Saturday, there was a giant crane out back lifting a brand new air conditioning unit on top of the building.
Oh.
And we didn't know if we were going to have air. We didn't know if we were going to be able to open the next day. And we'd already sent all these tons of emails.
Sure.
So just to give you perspective on this, we'd already changed our date several times.
Okay.
Because of the issues with the gas and
Sure.
because of the air conditioning. So Mike was in it with us. I mean, he's like, if I get asked one more time when you guys are going to open, I'm going to kill somebody or whatever.
right.
You know, it was just stressful. We were all on pins and needles.
Yeah.
And so I didn't want, it came down, like we were going to do originally this big, friends and family and just invite everybody we knew and blah, blah, blah. It came down to like, who can we contact at the last minute?
Mm-hmm.
And so I sent an email out to people, basically city people here in Springdale, like 6 o'clock at night on Friday. And I kept asking Mike, are you sure? Are you sure? Because the worst would be to have to call everybody and cancel,
Of
right?
course,
And you
yeah.
miss somebody and they show up or whatever.
Sure.
So he's like, we got this. We're going to make this happen. So the thing that they had to do was get the air conditioning. They rented a crane to lift it from the ground to this roof and hook it all up. And
Did you guys watch?
Oh, we were here. Yeah, we were here.
Yeah, we were here.
But it was, in the story with the crane, those little small details. For them to get the truck up here at that point in time was like, it was just a complete, fingers crossed.
Yeah, it wasn't even here, probably, right?
Correct. They had and this is right around the time, I believe, the tornadoes came
Yeah,
through,
the Rogers tornado.
So
Right.
all these
no.
cranes were helping, obviously, people that were.
no.
So the timing was kind of crazy. It was it was
Brutal.
for it to work out the way that it did was they really had to pull some strings and
Yeah.
help us out. So it worked out.
Natural State Rabbit resides in downtown Rogers and is the largest supplier of rabbits to restaurants in the country. They're also a biologics company. They use parts of rabbits for medicine and other things around the nation and the world. It's a pretty amazing story and full of history as the company started in 1911. We had the conversation at Pizzeria Ruby as their relationship with Natural State Rabbit started before they were even called that. In fact, there was no Pizzeria Ruby at that point, and they were operating a food truck. Now, how they got connected, that's a fun story. By the way, we were feasting on rabbit tenders during the interview, and they were good. I've recently become a fan of rabbit myself, and if you haven't tried it yet, think chicken, but grass-fed and leaner and better. It's really nice. They're offering our listeners and followers 15% off their starter variety box, which is the best way to give it a try. Just use flavors as the discount code. That includes free shipping, or you can hop over to downtown Rogers and just pick it up yourself if you'd like. If you're out driving and have nothing to write it down on, I will have it on the Flavors of Northwest Arkansas Facebook and Instagram pages, and I will have that up a little bit later today. We hear from Natural State Rabbit President and CEO Brian Bonk and Pizzeria Ruby's Mike Robertshaw and Meredith Butler. And that's next right here on the Flavors of Northwest Arkansas.
Teachers are dynamic leaders, shaping a new generation, innovating to prepare students for our fast-changing world. They're skilled experts, discovering a universe of solutions, telling stories, inspiring, mentoring, connecting cultures, leading by example. Teaching is a journey that shapes lives. Are you ready to begin? Explore teaching at teach.org.
Welcome back. We are at Pizzeria Ruby, and we are talking rabbit.
Yes.
And we are with the owners of Pizzeria Ruby. We've been here before. You've seen them before, Chef Michael Shaw, Meredith Butler. How are you guys?
We're fantastic.
We're joined by Natural State Rabbit / Pelfrey's Biologics President and CEO Brian Bonk. How are you, sir?
I'm good.
Good. I want to make sure I got those distinctions right because coming in I wasn't 100% sure. And let's be honest, I'm not 100% sure about a lot of things. I know you said act like you've done this before. I'm trying, man. I'm working
Figure this
on
shit
it.
out together. It's the holidays, man. It's all the pressure.
There's a very natural tie-in here that everyone's going to learn about here shortly, but I wanted to kick it off with you, Brian. How did you, A, get into this, and B, how did you get to Northwest Arkansas? And I know that's a long story, so I'm just going to sit back and let you run with it. Sir, please.
My background is science, life sciences. I did my PhD in biological engineering, which is probably the last thing people want to hear associated with their high-end cuisine.
Right.
But there's more to the story. I spent the last 10 years before I came to Arkansas in Boston. I went to grad school there.
If you all can't see it, you got knuckles right here from Chef Mike.
I think that's partly why. You guys have Boston signs everywhere. There we go. Fenway Park right there. I think that was part of the connection. Yeah, I moved down here in 2020. I started a investment partnership called a search fund with two partners, financial partners after grad school, and our goal was to find a under the radar life science business to acquire. My two partners, their background is finance and private equity. And so after about a 2-year search for various investment opportunities, we settled on Pelfrey's. We initially were just interested in acquiring the bio business. Given my background, we kind of learned about the meat side of the business gradually. That was not the initial focus, but the more we learned about our biological business, the more we realized how intertwined they were, and they kind of came along for the ride. And so in 2020, we closed on the acquisition of Pelfrey's LLC, and that's how a PhD in bioengineering ended up running a meat company. 2020 was an interesting year because it was the business was actually both businesses were booming. We bought the company right as COVID was getting. It was really right in the peak of COVID.
It was in March, right? I mean, you were right there.
Yeah, we closed down the acquisition at the end of March.
Yeah.
And my first major customer call was with a restaurant distributor in New Jersey. And the first call was, 75% of our customers, they are meat wholesaler, sold to restaurants. And the first call was, 75% of our customers are closed. Yeah. So that was an interesting intro to the meat, to the business period.
Yeah.
COVID had a very disruptive impact on on the business period, but for probably the first 2 years, the restaurants that we were primarily selling to were all shut down. So, on the meat side, we had way too many rabbits. On the bio side, people were using rabbit proteins and rabbit serum and all sorts of rabbit biologicals in COVID diagnostics. So on the other side of the business, people couldn't get enough rabbits. We had people trying to buy all of our supply. And that was definitely one of the key challenges right after we bought the company was how do we manage, basically zero demand for the meat and, infinite demand for the biological side of the business. We've navigated that. It involved some changes to our supply chain and changes to our pricing. It took about 4 years for kind of the supply chain to stabilize. We had to cut back, and then as soon as we cut back on our rabbits, that's when suddenly everything was fine again. So we went from having too many rabbits to very quickly not enough again on the meat side. So it's only about 5 years in is when we had all these grand plans to rebrand the business and upgrade our website and all sorts of things. We really didn't get around to doing them until a couple months ago, because our supply, our supply chain had really just not stabilized, and so we've between 2022 and 2024, we were rationing product to customers and trying to scale up our own production. So, even if we did made a beautiful website and brand it would have been all for naught because there weren't any rabbits. But now we've scaled up our farm. We have a really smooth farm operation. We have our website. Still kind of in the soft launch stage, but we are kind of actively leading on the new brand, partnering with restaurants, and really kind of realizing some of the things that we started building with Meredith, 5 years ago.
So to this point, it feels like it's been kind of a constant pivot for you from beginning to where we are today. Do you forecast that to continue, or is that something that, as you say, is smoothing out, maybe will continue to smooth out?
I wouldn't call it a pivot. I would call it more like dragged over the coals. And maybe, I think it was COVID and some market dynamics that were, I think the direction was very clear.
Yeah.
Rebrand. I mean, when we first bought the company, the joke I always tell is like the website, it was like you would go to pelfreys.com. It was like, do you want meat or do you want biological reagents? And it was like, it's it was
not the most sound sales strategy.
It sounds like the perfect trick or treat to me.
It was just very, very minimal audience targeting. And, it turns out the people buying, antibodies and life science reagents, some overlap, very small overlap, are very different from generally not chefs running restaurants. So,
sure.
I think that the direction was always pretty clear. The market and some of the supply chain dynamics had something to say about that as well.
Well, Pelfrey's, before we get too far, it's a really, really long and colorful and kind of an amazing past. Tell us a little bit about that story.
Yeah, Pelfrey's is a really unique company. We're in our 115th year of continuous operation.
God almighty.
We started, we started, in 1911 as a backyard rabbit farm. The joke is is according to lore, Betsy Ann was apparently the name of the first rabbit. I don't know if that's
Betsy
apocryphal.
I wasn't. That's not the ending I was preparing for.
Yeah, no, but it all started with Betsy Ann the rabbit, I guess. And
Betsy Ann? Yeah. Was she from the North Shore? She from Libya?
Something about that detail in the it's just such a. It's just you don't really meet a lot of Betsy Anns anymore.
It needs to be a song.
Yeah. Something about that detail always just sticks out. But by World War II, this backyard rabbit farm run by Herman Pelfrey with a PH, had become the largest supplier of rabbit meat in the United States. In the 50s, they moved from basically outside of LA to Arkansas, and it's kind of funny to go back to Inglewood. I don't really spend a lot of time in LA, but to go, this is Inglewood, California, which is L.A.
Yeah.
And back in 1911, that was considered farmland. That was a good place to raise your animals.
Yeah.
And
That's crazy.
that quickly changed, obviously, and which is what drove the company to Arkansas, where there's cheaper, more plentiful farmland and growers. So they moved the operation to Arkansas in the 50s, and the biomedical division kind of started. People in the research field needed rabbit parts, rabbit serum, various things for their research, and they went straight to the abattoir. And so these one-off requests, eventually grew into this whole separate business. And today we are still the largest rabbit meat supplier in the United States, and also have supply critical reagents, not just rabbit biologicals, but human and animal biologicals to all of the top vaccine, diagnostic, and life science biomedical research institutions around the world. I think last time we checked, we had about customers in 40 countries. So it's a pretty wide reach. We get cited. Our products get cited in the literature maybe 5 to 10 times a week. Everything from vaccine research to Lyme disease, all sorts of that, to some of our antibodies are used in Parkinson's disease research, and then just the whole. We have our toes in a lot of areas. A lot of big business in the ophthalmology space, and pretty much every area of the biomedical space we touch in some form. I like to tell our employees, there's probably no hospital in the United States that does not have either directly a bottle of product made by Palfrey's, or indirectly a medical device or vaccine or something that has touched or used our products. So.
And might I add, for those that listen and or watch this podcast, some of the serum of some kind was used early on to detect compatibility between donor and recipient in organ donation, which thrills the hell out of me as an organ recipient. So
the previous ownership of the company, it was a third generation family owned business when we bought it. Descendants of the Pelfrey, the previous owner married into the Pelfrey family, but really did some amazing things with the business over the course. Starting in the 70s, it became this offshoot of the, basically selling, things on the side from the abattoir. He started and spun off, several companies over the years, including, like you mentioned, one of the first HLA tissue typing companies, and HLA, it's a way of determining organ matching.
Okay.
So he was one of the pioneers in that space, and that was several companies have spun off from Pelfrey's and been acquired over the years. So that there's quite a. Some of them got quite large. I think the HLA company ended up being acquired by several companies, and now it's under the Thermo Fisher umbrella. But underlying all these things is this kind of core engine of just raw materials that I like to tell customers and employees. It's I spent most of my last 20 years in Cambridge, Massachusetts, where GSK and Novartis and Pfizer, everybody has some beautiful glass skyscraper.
Sure.
And I think a lot of people have no idea in these really sophisticated labs that their supply chain can be traced to an Amish rabbit farmer in rural Missouri or rural Kansas. And I think it's the fascinating thing about this industry is you can go really far upstream in the supply chain, and we really are kind of at the base of it. There's so yeah, so we touch a lot of downstream areas, vaccines, diagnostics, all sorts of research.
So near your office in Rogers, and this goes back to, I don't know, 3 or so years ago, you were well near a brewery at the time, and that brewery always had a food truck outside, and you're thinking, there needs to be a collaboration, something over there. Something needs to happen. I want to get the rabbit out there, but I don't. Maybe I'll just contact them. Who are those people?
Yeah, that's a funny story. So, like I mentioned, we bought the company right in COVID, and right before we bought the company, business was booming. We had a long backlog of orders. So, marketing the meat side of the business was really not high on my radar. Obviously, everything changed in COVID, and we went from having lots of customers to basically none, and suddenly our marketing strategy changed significantly. So we tried all sorts of things, but I think as we were experimenting with options, right across the street from us is Ozark Brewery, and at the time they had the 3 cents an acre food truck, and I just put two. There's a meat company next to the beer company, next to the food truck company.
Which happens the food truck.
But it wasn't just a food truck. It was you specialized in what would you call it? Like New Orleans,
French Creole.
Yeah, French Creole. Where rabbit happens to be a staple protein.
A big player, yeah.
So it seems like there's at a minimum we should be able to have a really good party with really good food or something. So I called the number on the food truck, and it took a while to get through. I'm impressed that
I think we were off season, so I definitely was not answering the food truck though.
No, I think we were just incredibly busy. We had 3 businesses out there at that time.
Yeah, no, you guys are obviously quite busy, but I wonder if you saved the original voicemail, because I was like, hi, we have rabbits. We'd like to do something with your food truck.
Yeah.
And
I think we just off the races, man. We just talked for a really long time. We could definitely do that.
Yeah, I think you came to me and you're like, hey, you want rabbit? I was like, I love rabbit. Do anything with rabbit. What do you want me to do? She's like, well, we're going to do this. Okay, great.
Yeah.
But I think the genesis, we were, suddenly, in need of and looking for creative marketing ideas, because suddenly we had all this rabbit to sell, and I think we started with the idea of, I don't know exactly when we did it, but and it was like we should do a pop-up and out of our truck. So I still have the poster in my office.
The gumbo feed.
The gumbo.
Nice.
When did we do that? Actually, it was probably.
People were thrilled.
That was 2019 because we ended up shutting down in COVID.
It was 2020.
It was 2020.
Pretty early. Yeah.
That whole period, it's really. We should just give up on that whole period. Is kind of a blur.
It is a blur.
You couldn't. It's like August 2020 versus whatever 2021 is just really. It's all a blur.
Right.
But yeah, that was kind of our first little thing we did together. But like I said, we were kind of in need of marketing resources and marketing ideas, and I didn't know anything about chefs or anything. That really was not part of wasn't part of the strategic plan. But you guys knew all the chefs here, and you had all sorts of good ideas. I think our first call, we have rabbit, and you're like, we should do something with rabbit. And I heard in the background, Mike was like, I don't know if we can use profanity, but it is Mike. So I think I heard in the background.
We've got Mike on the podcast.
Yeah.
Can we use profanity?
I do remember hearing in the background, it was like, hey Mike, should we do something with rabbit? And he's like, I fucking love rabbit. I don't think I ever met you, but I remember hearing that in the background. And,
Sounds right.
That's pretty good presentation right there.
2020 as a Cambridge. You know,
oh my gosh.
We very quickly, we always knew we needed to update the brand, and so at the time you were doing some marketing stuff with some other companies and social media.
A couple of local restaurants.
Yeah. And so that was kind of the start of the partnership that led to some of the.
It's come really fun.
It's come a long way. We didn't even know we hadn't chosen the natural state rabbit brand or anything, so there was a lot of work that just came workshopping that.
Yeah.
And we spent probably months just should we put a rabbit on the logo or not? Like, is it too cute, or you know?
Oh my gosh, the right rabbit. The right rabbit.
It had to be the right rabbit.
Logo.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure you spent the entire time I was testing pizza to open this place. Like, you guys kept having meetings on marketing, and she was coming home and having like random packaging sent to the house. Like, what is this for? She's like, that's for packaging rabbit. I was like, I'm gonna go back to making pizza.
Yeah. It was so fun. It was, so fun. To dig into something that is a little bit more niche, and but I was also really familiar with just through my experience of my cooking, at that level, and people in fine dining, like rabbit is not an unusual thing.
Sure.
In fine dining or in any other country, really.
That's a great point. Because here, and I say here in the U.S., but Northwest Arkansas, it feels like it's a continual education.
Yeah, absolutely.
We had to put a lot of thought into the rebranding too, because of the nature of our business, and I think there's a misperception. Like I said, I don't think biological engineering and vaccines, and nobody wants to hear that anywhere near their anywhere near their maybe some small subset of people, but those are just words you don't want anywhere near your restaurant menu. And I think so. It took a lot of thought at how do we want to. Because it really is two separate. Like, I think there's a misperception that people think we're like testing stuff on the rabbits, and it's like the ones that didn't whatever. Like, we're not doing any testing on the rabbits. The ones that we didn't work. Those made it onto your restaurant menu. Like that's not the case at all. It's and I think it's been a lot more controlling the narrative, because it's more about ethical use of the whole animal. And I think if you have the wrong buzzwords in the wrong places, and you're not doing a lot of marketing or controlling the narrative, I think just people's mind wanders. And the previous ownership kept they didn't have a big marketing budget, and they kept a low profile. So some of this is just controlling the narrative that these are not. This is more about ethical use of the whole animal. And yes, we do have a biological division, but it's more about utilization.
Absolutely.
And these are not testing rabbits that are going. It's a very different supply chain. We had to choose the branding and messaging very carefully. So that's I think this is a harder branding exercise than if we were just a farm, and it's like, do you want to call it Briar Patch Farms or whatever. It was actually how do we actually separate these brands and segment the audience, and it's good to see. We've spent really years packaging, especially when you're not Tyson level resources and you have other business lines. Upgrading packaging is quite an exercise. Just sourcing boxes is a terrible exercise. It doesn't sound hard, but getting the right size box and all this stuff it's a lot of work, especially when it's not your only job, and you don't have like the box sourcing team at your disposal. So we really spent probably years deciding on label placement and label design and all this stuff. So it's nice to see we finally have the supply, and nice to see some of these things finally coming to fruition. And we are actively adding restaurants and have our website launched. So it's good to see all this stuff coming to fruition.
If you would have used Briarcrest Farms, I'm pretty sure the Hallmark Channel would have sued you, because that has to be in one of those movies, right?
Probably.
It has to be.
I think it's funny. Like, we hired a firm, Archetype, a local firm here, to help us. Do we lean on the Pelfrey's name? Do we do something totally different? And we hired a firm here to help with the rebranding and the logo design, but just the naming exercise. What do you call it?
Yeah.
I still have a PDF. It's like a 5-page PDF. It was just a list of names. We weren't sure. Rabbit has I've kind of developed this acronym now. It has I would call the audience, it's like the 3 R's. It's like radical, refined, and rural for the protein. There's, really experimental tatted chefs that are, experimenting with new ways of utilizing rabbit. Most of our product ends up on really high-end, very expensive restaurants in places like Manhattan, where it really, I think the previous term was white tablecloth. I don't know if people use that term anymore, but most of our stuff is going to really high-end French and Spanish or Italian restaurants where rabbit is a staple protein of old world cuisine, and then we get kind of this mix of I would call it rural, the homesteaders, the country people, that are that grew up hunting and eating rabbit, and might want a easier option with fewer buckshot or
they've gotten slower.
And so I think we get this kind of interesting mix of people who want it for rabbit pot pies and some of the old kind of these more down home country dishes, and those are 3 markets. But then how do you make a brand that speaks to everybody? And so it was, do we make a really just weird sounding, do we target the more experimental crowd? Do we go something more traditional like Briar Patch Farms, which is generic and folksy, but it could be anything. It was a more challenging branding exercise than we thought. Admittedly, we did settle on something fairly generic. But it was not after careful deliberation and exploration. And we did want I think the natural state part. It does speak to both kind of our heritage. All of our rabbits are grown in the Ozark region, so it kind of speaks to our heritage without necessarily I think it's one of those, it's not obviously, I don't think everyone associates natural state with Arkansas, but we are the natural state, but it could mean a lot of things. It could mean just we are serving protein in its natural state. A lot of thought went into the naming.
Very nice. Well, are you guys ready to talk the food side of rabbit?
I'm ready to talk food.
I know you are. I know you are. All right. Always. We got that. We got the Mike Engelman Home Pro Tip of the Week, and that's coming up next right here on the Flavors of Northwest Arkansas.
Let's go. Connect with us at Flavors of Northwest Arkansas on Facebook and Instagram, or by email at flavorsofnwa@gmail.com.
Welcome back. It's time for the Mike Engelman Home Pro Tip of the Week, and for this one, we're going to everybody. Who wants to start?
Brian, why don't you start? I'll put you on the spot, my friend.
Yeah. Well, my tip was, I'm not much of I don't have much time to cook, but my tip is make friends with chefs.
There you go.
Because you will get infinite cooking tips, and then they treat me like a celebrity when I come here.
Yes.
All the desserts and all the comp drinks. So
there it is.
There's that would be my tip.
Good one.
It's a pretty good tip.
It's a pretty good tip.
Rabbit specific? I think probably just in general, learning how to cook rabbit. It's kind of like hot and fast for certain parts, slow and slow for others. It tends to do really well on both sides of the extreme.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it cooks similar to chicken in some ways. You know what I mean? If you want tenders, like a lot of people seem to love, and they buy packs of them. Go to places like Ivan's or Richard's down here in Fayetteville, and I know you guys have product in their stores, and you can buy trays of rabbit tenders. You know what I mean? And I think
it's on the website.
For me, are better.
Yeah. And if you guys are actually watching on YouTube, you're able to see some rabbit tendies right here. Yeah. They are delish.
Yeah, these ones we actually just bread similar to the way we do our cutlet. I mean, we literally use no marinating, no anything. It's literally just a flour, egg wash, and then we roll them in a panko breadcrumb that we fortify with Parmesan cheese, and then fry them. You know, you can pan fry them in a very shallow amount of oil, or you can deep fry them if you got Meredith, what does your family call it?
Deep fat fryer.
A deep fat fryer, as these southern biscuits call them. But yeah, they cook, in just a few minutes. It's a really great option, I think.
Yeah, perfect.
It's really an incredibly sustainable protein. It's fantastic.
I'm glad you brought these out and not some really complicated braise, because one of the things we get with the rabbit is, this is true of any protein, but I think especially with rabbit, because people don't always know where to start. There's really basic things that you can do, you can go super high end and, use the whole nose to tail or whatever and make just really complicated sauces with the organs and stuff. But I think things just tenders, there's a lot of good intro to rabbit things, just tenders, maybe the paella, maybe like the ragu sauce.
Yeah.
And one of the things we are trying to we initially focused, it's definitely easier for us to package a whole rabbit, and plenty of chefs want that. I think it's a little intimidating to the average consumer. There's like this whole animal, and most people just want to buy an intro. So we have a sample box now of parts, but most people want to start with the we call it the saddles, the boneless saddles. They're like a chicken tender. People like wrapping with bacon. You can just do it it's just like a chicken tender. Then there's a lot of.
Well, that's a bonus.
Yeah.
When we buy whole rabbits, we used to wrap the tenders, the saddles, and bacon as an additional special, so we can keep using the whole meal. So there's a million things. Yeah.
So we're going to continue this conversation, and the next segment coming up. We'll be right back.
Your story doesn't have to end. As an organ donor, the good in you can live on. In fact, you can save up to 8 lives through organ donation. Sign up to give the gift of life after you're gone. You'll be happy you did. Just maybe, someone else will too. Sign up online today as an organ, eye, and tissue donor at organdonor.gov. It saves lives.
64% is the number. 64% of eligible Arkansans are organ donors. That number is too low. If you are not signed up to be an organ donor, don't take it with you. Go to organdonor.gov and get signed up. The Arkansas link takes 5 minutes to get through to get signed up. The Texas link takes 5 minutes to go through to get signed up. Pretty sure the others do as well. You can also get signed up on the Health app on your iPhone. Also very convenient. And if you want to do it like my dad did it back in the day, not very convenient, go to the Department of Finance, go to the DMV. Head over there, get signed up, let them know you want to be an organ donor. They'll slap it on your license. You'll be good to go. Organdonor.gov is the place to go. Let's up that number from 64% and make it higher. Thanks so much as always. Welcome back. We're going to talk rabbit. Food. The food side of rabbit.
The best part.
The best part, indeed.
For me, anyway.
Yeah.
I know it's the largest domestic supplier of rabbit meat, and we've talked about that, but we have yet to really get it a little bit on the tip, but we have yet to get in on what people use it for, why some people call it rabbit season right now, and I'd love to spend this time getting into that. And I know, where did your list go? You had a big list of everything.
I have a list, but it's basically memorized.
Oh, got memorized then. Well, I'd like to kick it off with, right now, stews, braising, that's a very popular time. Chef Mike, gentlemen. Oh, my. Your preference, especially
really,
right now.
I would start with our most recent rabbit dish here at the restaurant, and it's probably been the most popular. out of all of them?
Rabbit marsala.
Yeah, rabbit marsala. You want to walk them through that dish?
Yeah. So it's actually the hind legs. So the hind legs are a little bit larger of muscle on the rabbit, which typically lend better to being braised, kind of low and slow. A lot of things, again, you speak to the intimidation of the rabbit. They're so incredibly easy to cook and so easy to butcher. Again, as a chef, I hate when people don't buy whole animals. I wish they would. I wish I could teach everybody how to break them down. But for me, the hind legs are the best part. When I was in Pacific Northwest, I was butchering hundreds a week at most restaurants I was at. And here, we try to bridge that gap and try to make it a little bit more familiar, a little more entry level for people to kind of understand. So for us, it was really just a slow braise. We kind of sear the legs and then braise them in stock that we made from the bones. And then we just kind of straighten that down, reduce the stock down, and then we basically fortify it like you would a chicken marsala. So you get the braised meat, and then we would serve that on a bed of like a Parmesan polenta with a spicy rapini, and then we used wild mushrooms that a friend of mine has a foraging company in the Pacific Northwest has foraged and found. And I think right now we actually have black trumpet mushrooms and hedgehog mushrooms, which are kind of the quintessential fall mushrooms.
Okay.
Right now, yeah.
So I know we'd say that it's a constant education in the U.S., generally speaking, and here. But from what you said earlier, that did pretty well.
Yeah, it does really well. Yeah, and rabbit to me is probably one of my absolute favorite proteins to work with. It's so versatile. I find it really easy to cook. It's incredibly lean protein, and probably one of the most lean proteins. And I think there's just so much versatility with the protein itself. You know what I mean? The best part of whole animal butchery is trying to challenge yourself to figure out what to do with the parts that you don't necessarily know what to do with. So, things I've done in the past were like the front legs and the belly flap, which can tend to be a little bit, it's this flap of meat that kind of hangs down in the front part of the rib cage, you know what I mean? Just on the other side of the saddle. And for us, all we would do, we would corn it. And we would serve corned beef. We would corn rabbit hash.
Okay.
It was absolutely amazing. It took to the curing really well. We would take the whole legs, we'd serve them whole. I mean, I've done everything from French style cuisine to Frenched out saddle racks to, there's not much I haven't done. It's even grinding down the rabbit here and the organs that come with them, the livers and the kidneys. We used to grind those and fortify them into our bolognese. When we did rabbit bolognese here a couple of years ago, we ran it for a whole winter. The traditional, like you mentioned earlier, a lot of your clients are doing French and Italian and Spanish style restaurants in Manhattan. Rabbit is the number one protein pretty much used all across Europe. You know what I mean? So as far as Italy goes, they're eating more rabbit than they are chicken. In France, they're eating more rabbit than chicken. In Spain, you can't have a paella without rabbit. It's not chicken. You know what I mean? So it'd be really nice to kind of get people to eat a little bit more and understand a little more. Yeah. But again, that's the weird part of being in Arkansas, right? Not really weird, but you can try to break the gap for people who, like myself, who grew up in New England and working at Michelin-starred restaurants my whole career and James Beard houses, to the people that used to shoot the shit out of them in their backyard, put them in a cast iron and fry them. And it's like, how do I sell that to these folks? It's something they can just go ahead and get themselves. You know what I mean? So
I get it.
It's trying to find that refinement that kind of bridges that gap between, like you said, radical, rustic, you know what I mean? And just kind of figuring out how to market it to people that are coming here for pizza. Like, what do you mean you got rabbit on the menu at a pizza shop?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
So many fun things to do.
Yeah.
I like the rabbit tenders we have sitting here.
Yeah, really good. Really, really good. I know there's, and you talked about there being a lot of getting used to the restaurant clients and sending out to the restaurant clients. What's kind of been their feedback? I mean, obviously they reorder, so that's a good indicator right there, but...
Yeah, I think there's... rabbit is not a big market in the United States. Like, we really are the largest company doing this.
Yeah.
You can import stuff from Europe. So I think there actually is this pretty big long tail of restaurants that are, providing cuisine in a certain tradition, and they're just not aware that rabbit's available, or maybe that they, some of the foreign, some of the stuff you import that gets imported. There's a lot of rabbit imported from China, which is questionable quality. There's,
Is it the Temu rabbit?
No, it's special.
Yeah, I think, and some of the some of the European branding, it's just weird.
Yeah.
It's just, it's like one of the companies that imports here is like Hungarian. It's just a weird brand. The packaging is weird. And so I think it's not very accessible. So I think there's this long tail of restaurants that want us. Most French restaurants, for example, often want to have a rabbit dish, they on their menu because it's one of those classic proteins, but they're just not aware that it's there, or maybe they can only get whole rabbits, or maybe the cuts aren't what it's hard to get sometimes. Yeah. So part of it is just education, and we've been getting on. We just finally got added to Cisco. It took a while to get on their e-commerce platform. That's what we found with most of our restaurants. They're like, sure, I'd like to buy this, but contact me when you're on Cisco or US Foods, because I don't want to add. I don't want to add another supplier or something. So just some of this is just getting the word out.
Yeah.
As far as, we see people, like I said, people use it for all sorts of things, but I would say the majority of people who have rabbit on their menu are either French, Italian, or Spanish.
Right.
That's probably 2/3 of the market, but there's just such a long culinary tradition of having those proteins. Rabbit is a staple in paella.
Well, again, it's so readily available. You know what I mean? It's especially in those regions and those markets. You get Italian farmers going out there, and there's rabbits in their field. You know what I mean? They're producing them. Same in Spain. Like it's, the French have kind of taken it from the hot cuisine and really kind of elevated what people can do with rabbit, and I think kind of created this misconception that somehow rabbit is, this hoity-toity protein that people are scared of. And I mean, it's really like, it's such a fun protein to work with as a chef. Number one, they're incredibly easy to break down. You know what I mean? They're really, I'm not going to tell you what my first chef told me. They reminisce in their skeletal.
Oh, come on, say it. Say it.
He literally told me it's like just the exact same bone structure as a cat. And it stuck with me my whole fucking career. So like now I show people how to, like, and I have cats. You know what I mean? So like every time I'm like,
everyone knows how to butcher a cat. Obviously.
I'm like, why would you tell me that? But again, this guy was an ex-Army Ranger. He was a psychopath. But man, he had great butchery skills. Anyway. But they're so fun to break down, and they, everything from the meats to the organs, like making pâtés and doing things like charcuterie type things with those. And like I know that like Barclita, for instance, they've been doing like different kind of rabbit cures and bologna. Doing like emulsified sausages, trying to figure out how to like really have that resonate with people. I mean, who doesn't love bologna?
I know, right?
There's some rabbit bologna.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Delicious. It's just ways to, it's up to us to figure out how to present that to people where they want to eat that. It's something they're interested to go after. So.
Just from a not considered a normal U.S. protein.
Right.
I think people immediately think, oh, that's going to be gamey.
Yeah. It's not. It's so neutral. It's so neutral. Like literally, there's nothing gamey about that.
I just had my third Tindy.
Yeah.
While you guys were talking, I'm like, I'm leaving.
I mean, people want to talk about grass-fed protein. It's really not going to get much more grass-fed than that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. I think there's, there is a comparison to chicken, obviously, in that they're both lean white meat, but there's a certain flavor profile you get with rabbit, and I think it's partly because you just, after we were trying out rabbit on various different menus in the area, and Meredith said like she got so used to trying rabbit that when she tried chicken, like what was the word? There's kind of like what was the word? You used the word funk.
Chemical.
There's something. There's something a little more natural, I think, about rabbit.
There's a delicacy to it. There's like a sweetness and a delicacy to it. And I would expand to that, like just in using the livers and things, making a pâté with rabbit liver versus chicken liver.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's just, if you compare side by side, there's big differences.
Interesting.
So, flavor of the rabbit.
How about, and I'm thinking outside the box here, but I would think it would kind of be a natural play, smoking a rabbit?
Yeah, we've done it before. Yeah, we've smoked the legs before. We've done a bunch of different things like that. I mean, even like he mentioned, the people like to wrap the saddles in bacon. That's such a great little comparison because, you know, wrapping the saddle in bacon and kind of transferring that smokiness and that fat. Like I said, it's such a lean protein.
Yeah.
The fat that kind of renders into that and that smoke that you get from it is such a beautiful little pairing.
Ooh.
Like it's you know it's actually pretty fantastic.
Ooh. I guess it's any part of the rabbit, really. It's not necessarily one or the other.
Yeah. But I mean, as far as smoking it the whole way, like you kind of want to do barbecue. I mean, like I said, it's a really lean meat.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So you'd be kind of hard pressed to get. It'll be kind of dry, I think. If
One
we were
of
to smoke
our successful barbecue ones was when Chef Rafael Rios from Yayo's did rabbit barbacoa.
Yeah.
And he spatchcocked it.
No kidding.
So it, it was smoked fully and marinated and everything, but it went pretty fast on the smoking. Spatchcocking it worked really well.
Yeah.
Beautiful dish.
Did you ever? I see this on the menu a fair amount, but I think most recently at Atlas he had a rabbit 3 ways. I can't remember what the 3 ways were.
He tends to do that. I feel like almost every spring.
Yeah.
He does kind of like a roulade, which has all the parts, and then he'll do the accessory things around it. Lots of times it's a braising liquid that's been reduced down.
Usually a braised leg,
it really
a roulade of some sort.
In the area, if you want a first taste of rabbit, I would highly recommend Atlas for that.
Chef Elliott, he knows,
absolutely.
Well, and he does really interesting. He's like makes little rabbit bacon out of the side flaps. You don't see a lot of other proteins served 3 ways,
right?
And I don't know if it's because chefs, it's like we have one rabbit dish that came into their mind, or there's just fun ways to experiment. I don't know where that comes from.
I think utilization.
Well, it's definitely utilization. Like I said, so we want to buy whole rabbits. You know what I mean? So you figure out a way to utilize the whole thing. So my guess is he's probably boning it up, wrapping those saddle back around the belly flap, and kind of doing that. Rolling it in plastic and kind of doing like a torchon style.
Yeah.
And then, braising the legs and whatever else he's doing. But, you buy the whole rabbit, you're getting the 2 kidneys, you're getting the livers, you know what I mean? So, like, when we used to do whole rabbits, and I would, there was dishes many times that each one would get a fried kidney on it. Like, just a quick little pan fry, nice medium kidney, and serve it. Absolutely delicious.
Well, it really does come back to utilizing the whole animal, and that there's been times in culinary where that has trended like crazy.
Sure.
As trends do.
Well, I mean,
but it's not a trend for anyone who's close to the earth at all in their culinary or their eating. Especially here, I just, in our first conversation, I thought, wow, this is actually a really cool opportunity in this area because I'm from a family who raised rabbits in the backyard as a quick. Yeah. My aunt and grandpa raised rabbits. We had fried rabbit on Easter sometimes.
Wow.
It was cheeky, but it also was delicious.
Yeah.
And I was familiar with that, like raising your own food on a very small footprint. That rabbit droppings in the hutches coming down and the compost going in the garden, I was raised with that happening.
I'm a city boy.
But and
we
then on the other side.
Oh shit, used to get up from the couch and we couldn't find it all the time. Her name was Peaches.
Peaches.
Yeah.
So, and then there's, and then the culinary background and just the education of knowing about it in fine dining and not just rabbit, but every protein that they would pull in from a farm and use it from nose to tail. And I just think that especially here, it's in the perfect place for that. We have a lot of people with heritage where they have utilized rabbit forever.
Yeah.
And then we also have people the rising culinary traditions here in this area.
Mm-hmm.
I think that there's just endless opportunity.
Well, yeah,
especially here. It's perfect for this area.
I think my first love of rabbit came from cooking styles like Fergus Henderson and Martin Picard from Robertshaw in Montreal. And it's you're talking about guys who literally will butcher absolutely everything. You know what I mean? Braising the necks and serving the bones and serving this. And it's just it's so fascinating, all of the parts that you can use and can be utilized. You know what I mean? It's
I think you could say that about any animal, but I do think rabbit lends itself to all the parts are easily. It's not a huge cow where it's what am I doing with all this stuff?
Part,
I mean you can very easily cook a whole rabbit and feel good that you've utilized the whole in one meal. And like I said, one of our Aaron that made he bought 5 rabbits and made, you literally used every part of the rabbit and made this just amazing 4-course meal.
Yeah.
And I think you can do that to some extent with every protein, but rabbit lends itself to that full utilization story much easier.
There's something interesting about honoring it and that being on the table.
And there's such a like the bones, you know what I mean? They are fast growing. There's this level of like, as a chef, you look for collagen in bones. You know what I mean? That's what gives you that sticky kind of reduction. And for me, like braising it, roasting the backbones, roasting the leg bones, and making a stock out of that, reducing it down, creates some of the best glosses for pastas and glazing. It's just like there's such an interesting, clean flavor. You know what I mean? You get demi-glace on a steak, and sometimes it's over-reduced, and it's kind of bitter, it's kind of weird. You're using a shit ton of tomato paste to caramelize. You know what I mean? It's just like with rabbits, it's such a clean. The only thing I could kind of compare it to, but I actually prefer rabbit glace over that, would be like a glace de poulet, which would be like a chicken stock. You know what I mean? Just the bones kind of reduced down, and for me, that rabbit glaze is fantastic.
Sticky, like the silkiness you can get from it comes from the fact that it's a mammal, not poultry.
I think so. Yeah,
because you think about the richness of beef versus poultry.
Well, if you do butcher a whole rabbit, you look at the kind of the backbone structure. You know what I mean? There's so many little vertebrae all the way down, and each between all those, you have all this collagen that converts to gelatin, which gives you this glaze. Absolutely fantastic.
Yeah. I was like rabbit stock-based things are probably one of my favorites.
No kidding.
A culinary thing.
Learn something every
Give me
day.
a strozzapreti with some braised leg. Yum.
Yeah, I'm glad I found you guys. That chance meeting.
It was a chance meeting.
They've become kind of our local champions of new rabbit dishes, and it's been fun.
Yeah, we've had a few. So this past year, I think we've had 6 in total.
Yeah.
But the first one we did rabbit and dumplings. So always kind of, marketing wise between the two of us, like we're really always trying to think of how to bridge the gap a little bit and kind of like tempt people in, right?
Yeah.
And so rabbit and dumplings really
actually
spoke to this area.
The porcini gnocchi.
It was gnocchi, porcini mushrooms, braised rabbit.
I actually had that at a wine dinner elsewhere probably 2 months ago.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
It's good.
Pretty good one.
Really good.
So we started there, and then we took it to bolognese. I think we did a bolognese.
Did a bolognese,
with the liver incorporated and everything, and I thought that was just brilliant.
Yeah.
The richness, and that was pretty incredible.
Yep.
And then we moved on to.
Gosh, I don't remember.
I think we had a pepperdelle.
We did the
wild
pepperdelle with the
mushroom and
glaze,
pepperdelle, which wild mushrooms always. Like rabbit and wild mushrooms, it's hard to beat that pairing. You're literally like the flora and fauna of the environment in which the animal lives.
Right.
Is such a cool culinary tradition.
The time that we spent in the Pacific Northwest, she and I met in the Pacific Northwest. The restaurants I worked at, so rooted in foraged vegetables and mushrooms, and then rabbits and proteins. It's the combination is so spot on, man. Yeah.
And it's ethereal, it's like it's something when you taste it, it's of course the skill comes across from the chef, but for me, I just think that sometimes food can take on that, that it's a deeper meaning, it's a deeper honoring.
No question. Absolutely.
Respect the food.
Yeah, respect the food.
The food is respected for sure. Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much. This has been a great one.
Yeah,
it's been a great one. Yeah. So, where can folks find you?
We have we've recently launched our website, so we have a direct-to-restaurant or direct-to-consumer. You can go to our website, nsrabbitmeat.com. We are in a fair selection of stores nationwide. Locally, we're definitely in Ivans and Richards here. We're working on getting in more retailers, and I think so people don't have to pay shipping costs. But right now, we're regularly shipping D2C all over the country.
Nice.
So go to nsrabbitmeat.com.
And for mom and pop back home, direct to consumer.
Yes.
Is D2C.
D2C.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go. Thank you very much. Appreciate your time. Chef, Meredith, guys, thank you.
I appreciate you guys coming.
Excellent. Be sure to tip your servers, especially this holiday season. They rely on you. It's super important. Please do so. And have a great week. We'll see you next week. We'll see you next year.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Shit. Yeah, you're right.
Y'all be good. Bye-bye.